Hey, Balance Nation, it's Dr. Anthony G. Beck, and I am going to give a heart-heavy shot at a topic that is the next thing that the media has everybody talking about. So we got through the COVID-19 hoax, and now we're going on to the next hoax, and all the people that fell for the first one are certainly falling for the second one, it appears. So I'm going to talk to you guys about the true face of racism, and keeping in Dr. Anthony G. Beck's style and giving the balanced understanding, I am going to share with you guys the data. This one hits home a little bit because just like I've done with other situations in my life, once I've triumphed and recovered from the emotional hurt and damage of a situation, I'm going to show you guys the journey that I went through on that. And I'm going to share you an intimate look at what happened to me when it comes to being the, dare I say, victim of racism. Straight up and bold and in my face. So I'm going to give you guys a candid look inside of that, and then we're going to absolutely eviscerate this whole disparity when it comes to police killings of people and violence and things like that. So let's get into it. All right, as we all know, this is another troubling times. You know, I was watching several things today. I had a day off today, was doing some things and just kind of relaxing and doing some research, as I often do in my free time. And you know, you take a peek from time to time as a little pattern interrupt on the social media. I know some of you guys have reached out to me in Messenger and stuff like that, and direct messages and emails, and I will get back to you, I promise. Just been busy with some other things. So give me a little bit of time and latitude, if you please. One of the things I noticed was all the same people who are falling for this absolutely rotten and vile narrative are the ones who are still wearing the masks. I thought that was kind of interesting. So all the mask holes are also the people that are perpetuating this stuff. So I've seen some really gruesome videos out there. You guys send me all kinds of stuff, and you know, I'm kind of compelled to click on them and watch them. Lots of black on white racism, straight up violence, and you know, a lot of more information. Just like if you remember back in the last go round of the Black Lives Matter racist terrorist group, tried to do the Ferguson thing with Michael Brown, and then the hands up, don't shoot. And then as information came out later, they had the video of the store that he just strong-armed robbery prior to the altercation with the police officer that ended his life. And then, of course, everybody was, you know, fell for the hands up, don't shoot thing. And then until we found more of the story and eyewitness testimony that he tried to get it, you know, he basically assaulted the officer and tried to take his gun and was shot. So anyways, not to rehash all that, but the point here is as of late is, of course, the George Floyd story. I've shared you guys my dismay with it, looking at it from the point of view as looking at it from accepting the current narrative. I know there's a lot of questions and critical thinking going on out there about that situation as it being a staged event. I'm not closed to it, like I've said from the very beginning, but taking it on its face value. I was disturbed to see people standing by and allowing cops to sit there and end a man's life and kill him. And I told you very candidly that if I was there in that situation and I was observing that and that time was going on, I would have, you know, sprung into action at risk of my own legal recourse, because I'm not going to just stand there and let somebody get killed like that. There was context enough there. Could have been staged, but I'm telling you very succinctly that I would have looked at and interacted quite differently than just holding up a cell phone. So having said that, one of the things is so many people, and this is why I'm doing this video, is because people are scared to death to tackle the narrative of racism, particularly people that aren't, and here's the term that divides us, of color. You got people that aren't of color, and then everybody who is of color. I mean, that in and of itself is racism. That's what it is. You know, in certain countries, there's caste systems, right, that still go on. Just like right now, there's still slavery. A lot of people don't know that. So the thing is there's all these divisions, okay? And the thing is people are scared to tackle it. I'm not, okay? I don't feel the need to prove that I'm not a racist, because I'm not a racist. You know, whenever you do that and you go, well, I have friends that are racist, you know, and they do the fun like this, like Dave Chappelle and stuff like that, make fun of it. Although Dave Chappelle makes fun of all this silly racism and white privilege stuff. But my point is we can have some comedy about it, but we also have to have some reverence about it. In other words, whenever there is respectful discourse, topics are not off the table. They're very important. And so it's a sad thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with a story here that happened to me, and I'm going to share it with you guys very candidly because I love transparency and stuff like that. And then I'm going to talk to you guys about the things that lead up to what we're seeing is a concerted effort by liberal progressives that want socialism, and so it's on the left. It's leftism, okay? So there is a plan. There are powers outside of the United States that are wanting to exert power on everyone. They do want to have a big old one world government, and how they do that is to disrupt the greatest country on the face of the earth. Now, then people say, well, it's not the best country on the face of the earth. It's not great. And I mean, good gracious, we can go down every rabbit hole in the world. I would humbly submit that everybody is kicking and screaming and dying and illegally coming into our country because it's so great. If it was so terrible, why is everybody trying to get here? Why? Why aren't they trying to, Iceland's better and ranked higher and all these other kind of things? I was in a thread the other day in Facebook about, I'm like, well, how come everybody's not wanting to immigrate to Ireland or Iceland or Japan or Australia? They're trying to get the heck out of those places. Everybody wants to come to the United States of America. And there's a reason for that, because it's the best. All right. For those of you who aren't in the country and you love your country, that's fantastic too. We can all claim to be the best. I claim to be the best in my industry. How about that? So where I'm going with all this, guys, is I want you to understand that we have to talk very real, candid, authentic, and be honest with ourselves and other people, okay? Because this is by design. This is a pattern repeated out there. And if you guys want to know, where the playbook comes from, what I want you to do is go to, let me just change here. I'm going to show you that here. Just, wish my thing was this. Anyways, go look up, and this is just wiki, not the best thing in place, but this is a famous book called Rules for Radicals by Saul Alinsky. This is Hillary Clinton's mentor. She loves the guy to death. But anyways, go look at Rules for Radicals and what it is, okay? So it is a book on how to successfully run a movement, for change, okay? It's written by Alinsky, who is a Zionist, or was a Zionist. Anyways, my point is this. The goal is to create a guide for community organizers. We've heard that term before, right? Low-income communities or have-nots in order to gain social, political, legal, and economic power. So this is the template. This is the book. Okay, it's the philosophy. It's the way way to communicate, and the political philosophy. And you can get into all of this and who Alinsky was. He was a terrible, awful guy with an awful past. And the thing is you can just get to what the rules are. Okay, power is not only what you have, but what the enemy thinks you have. Never go outside the expertise of your people. Whenever possible, go outside the expertise of the enemy. Make the enemy live up to its own book of rules. Ridicule is man's most potent weapon. See that right there? Ridicule is man's most potent weapon. This is what happens is, see, people, they want to tell you and ridicule you and tell you that you are a racist. That's what they do. Whenever someone calls you a racist like that, or you think and so forth, you can know that that's from the playbook. See, they do that. It's trying to take this fake higher moral ground, okay? So that's where that's coming from, okay? Ridicule is a man's most potent weapon. And a good tactic is one your people enjoy, right? The tactic that drags on too long becomes a drag. Keep the pressure on. This is what we're seeing now, okay? We're absolutely seeing that, right? So we're seeing that, you know, they're putting the pressure constantly, constantly. Why? Because they want to bring America down. They absolutely do. They want things, and they are the ones who are wanting socialism. It's Democrat, it's liberal progressive, it's leftism. There's no cleaning that up, guys. And I've told you guys, I'm not a Republican. I've always been an independent and things like that. So it's funny that I always have to caveat, but those of you who watch my other videos, you know what I proclaim to be and where my thoughts are. I'm a constitutionalist. The threat is usually more terrifying than the thing itself. See, we see that, we saw that, the threat being more terrifying than the thing itself, you know, in the COVID-19 shenanigans, right? That pandemic. And so these are the rules for radicals. This is how you disrupt things. The major premise for tactics is a development of operations that will maintain a constant pressure upon the opposition. So this is what you see with Antifa, okay? Now, and the odd thing is they do it under the ruse of being anti-fascist, but they're fascists themselves. That's one of the coolest things ever, right? Is to wordsmith and point the finger at exactly what you're doing on somebody else. Like a child molester or a rapist would say, you know, he's raping kids, you guys better go over there and get, you know, pay attention to him, right? That's what happens. And I'm using very macabre examples, but, you know, we're all adults here. This is not rated for kids. So we're going to hit some tough subjects today. If you push a negative hard and deep enough, it will break through into its counter side. That's what we're seeing here. They're trying to push a negative hard and deep. That's what they're doing. The price of a successful attack is a constructive alternative. And then here's what you do. Pick the target, freeze it, personalize it, and polarize it. Okay? So I'm showing you the playbook so you can recognize what the hell's going on. There is a playbook, okay? This is the left's war room. This is what they do. They had a communist Zionist create these kind of things years ago, and they're living by it, okay? So you can just go to Wiki and just read through that. That's my reference on there. You can look at there. You can go buy that book, read it, okay? Like, well, I don't want to contribute to whatever. So here's the thing. The other day, everybody was posting the little black square on their social media. And what happened was I was like, what in the world? You know, because that is virtue signaling. And if you don't know what virtue signaling is it's like whenever you put something out there to let everybody know how virtuous you are. Like, I stand with this. Just by simply changing your Facebook profile filter or putting out a stupid little thing on your Instagram. It doesn't change anything. There's no action there. It's designed to make you feel good about you. That's what it does. It doesn't change anything. It doesn't empower anybody or nothing. And so slowly but surely I was going through my Instagram feed and I just saw all these people doing it. And it was funny because it was also all the leftist socialist Democrats that I follow on Instagram. And I'm going to be doing a video on how this has invaded healthcare and particularly my field of functional medicine. And again, when I'm sharing these things with you guys, I want you to know this is based upon my personal opinion, my discovery and belief. Don't believe anything I say. Make your own opinions. If I share any type of adjective here about a person or a something, it's just solely my particular opinion, and I'm doing it based upon my ability to do so as granted by the Constitution and free speech, okay? And please watch my disclosure video at the end of this video, okay? This is my experience from my point of view, okay? So I was going through Instagram, and I'm seeing all kinds of people do it, right? So I'm going to get into the healthcare part of it, okay? Institute of Functional Medicine and all these other kind of people. I watched them do the same thing when it came to COVID-19, you know, and wait till I show you who those people are connected to. Wait till I show you how these famous people who you're probably on their mailing list and they keep selling you dietary supplements and stuff like that, fix a pill for every ill. Wait till you see. Wait till who you see. They're connect the dots to. So I'm gonna pull the curtain back on that. But today, I'm going to share my hurt story that happened to me. So I have a long standing for several years now, a gentleman who, what happened was that I posted on his Instagram, and I basically said, I mean, this is groupthink, virtue signaling, and it backs the racist group of Black Lives Matter. And so of course, you know, I was over working with some staff of mine, and he tried calling me, and I didn't answer the phone. He calls me again. I'm like, man, what's really going on? So I grabbed my phone and took a call. So we had about a 15-20 minute conversation. And the conversation is that, why did you post that on my Instagram? And I said, well, because that's how I felt. And he goes, well, you know, I know you to not be one of those type of people. And I trust your word, and I know you're a man, you know, of character and things like that. But I just want to understand, you know, why is that you felt the need to do that? And I said, because, you know, just like you feel that you might have felt the need to put that out there, I felt the need to answer. And it came through my feed, and I did it harmlessly, and I put it on a lot of people's feed. Everyone did it. And so we got to talking, and the topic turned to, of course, racism and what was going on as we see today. Now, the interesting thing is that the context here, without being able to give the full conversation, because that would take, you know, a long time, was along the lines that you have to understand, telling me, because this gentleman, of course, is Black, I'm white, and he says to me that I can't possibly understand what it's like to live in a life that he's had if I have never been in his position or wore his shoes. Okay? And I'm like, well, as soon as you look at someone's race that's different than yours and you tell them there's no way you can understand, well, then that's a non-starter. Okay, well, if I can never understand, then why would we even talk about it? Point number one. The other point is that, hold on a minute. Okay, if you're making that without knowing my experience, you're trying to tell me your experience based upon your one filter, and that's our difference in race, well, then you're a racist. That's a racist thing to say, that by me looking at you and seeing you're not the same race as I am, you don't understand. Here's the thing. Experiences are experiences, okay? I am a Homo sapien, okay? I am a human, a child of God, just like every other human Homo sapien on the planet. We're already equal, okay? Anything that's presupposedly not equal is in the eyes of the beholder, okay? There's tons of people way more attractive than me. But some people say, I don't know about that, okay? My wife, I got her fooled really good, okay? She might tell me I'm the most handsome man in the world. The other thing is so in other words, those are all subjective things. We all have our experiences. So I began to share certain little experiences in my life, and I'll share that with you guys. I grew up in the dirty South. What that means is it's the real South, okay? We're not talking about Texas in the South. That's not the dirty South. North Carolina, okay? Robeson County. I've said it in other videos, okay? I was a minority. There were often times that I was the only white kid around, okay? I used to beatbox. I think I might have done a little bit of that on another video. I won't be beatboxing for you guys on this video. Anyways, I grew up in the 80s, okay? In North Carolina and in Georgia, okay? I'm very familiar with the racism things that are down there. And I was raised away from that. Matter of fact, my mom was a staunch supporter and lover of Jesse Jackson. Fact. It's the funniest thing ever, okay? So, even when he was running for president and stuff. So, my thing is this. That wasn't my experience, okay? I have had countless experiences in racism on myself, both from people that I didn't know, people that I did know, law enforcement, teachers, college professors, all kinds of things. That's been my experience, okay? And I didn't make that determination just because they were not my race, and that's why, and when it happened, I blamed it on that. There's specific context of reasons why they're because of words that they uttered, okay? It's a fact, okay? There's no conjecture there for me. So I know what it's like to experience racism. The problem is that the leftismnesses, the left, tries to paint a picture that whites can't be victims of racism and that they are the only racists. That's the narrative, okay? The bottom line is this conversation went on about that, and as soon as I was able to share my experience about those things, it neutralized, okay, his argument, because he was saying I didn't know what it's like. Yes, I've been pulled over constantly times. I've been mistaken for another white dude who matched the description. Okay, absolutely. The other thing is that he's like, well, he tried to use an example, of differences of things, and I said, well, like for instance, like gender, and I said, I don't have to be a female to know what it's like to be, or to know the science of female anatomy and physiology. There are literally thousands of male OBGYNs that know way more about a woman's body than she knows, okay? And so he says, well, unless you've experienced pregnancy or delivering a baby, you have no idea what that's like. And I said, listen, I've put on the electrodes on my abdomen. I know what it feels like. And he goes, and he about lost it. He didn't recognize that I was being sarcastic. And I was like, I'm joking. I'm totally joking. And I told him I was joking. But again, being a mother and being pregnant and going through the pains of childbirth is not a victimization, okay? It is a self-induced, glorious episode that only women can experience, okay? I mean, like telling all the women out there, you have no idea what it's like to have someone kick you in your testicles. So therefore, don't give me a hard time if I'm sitting with my legs wide open. There's another leftist thing. Don't manspread, right? There's all this emasculization going on the left too. And so the bottom line is we're different. It's okay to be different. We don't have to be everyone. Everyone doesn't have to share their experience with everybody. And I don't have to feel obligated to give some type of preconceived weight to someone's experience. I never ask anyone to understand and feel and be woefully, dismayed by my experiences. You know what I mean? I get attacked all the time, okay? I have two doctorates. So one, I'm a naturopathic doctor. The other, I'm a doctor of Oriental medicine. And so people are like, well, you're not a real doctor, and because you're not an MD, you're not, okay? So I get attacked by that all the time because I'm not so much. So what if I was an MD, but I was a podiatrist, and all I do is feet? So are they know more about health and nutrition and wellness than me? Anyways, the point is, I'm a victim of people not liking my standard. So anyways, the conversation was heartfelt. I was like, listen, I need to go on with I got to meet with my staff. I'm here building a building, and I can't talk right now, but I'd love to pick up the conversation. And he was reluctant to pick up the conversation later. I said, listen, I love you, and I appreciate that you gave me a call, and it means a lot to me, and I'll talk to you later. Okay? So that phone call was done. So the reason why I'm sharing this labor story with you guys is because it's important for you to understand how these things go. So the thing so I went on my business, and went to bed that night, woke up the next morning, checked my phone. Apparently a message came through at 1 o'clock in the morning, because when I got home, I also sent him or tagged him some videos and some other narratives from David J. Harris Jr. and Candace Owens and some of the others, and Thomas Sowell. So I tagged his Instagram thing and wanted him to watch those videos so you can kind of see the narrative, because part of that conversation, just to digress a second, was the narrative about police and the disproportional amount of their force and killings on members of the black community, as they say, right, or blacks. And I said, the data doesn't support that. It just doesn't support that. And I'm going to show you guys that here in a minute. I'm going to give you all the data, like literally from 2013 to 2019, every single police killing I'm going to show you on a spreadsheet. And I'm even more than willing to give you guys the data stuff, because I amassed it from some other open sources as well. So you guys are more than happy to do it. I'm going to show you the data. I'm going to prove it to you. So I've looked at it. This wasn't the first time I've ever looked at this. I've looked at it for years. It's been my thing. One of my best friends is actually I've told you guys this before, is a trainer of police trainers. Okay, he's one of my first patients when I came here to Florida, and we've been besties for going on 20 years. Okay, so the point is this. So I got a message in the morning, and basically what it was, that's your. Ooh, look at that spreadsheet. You guys are going to see that here in just a second. Okay. What you guys are going to see is this. Of course, it's the thread going on. Last time I said text with Happy New Year. So this is where the conversation went. I see you felt compelled to tag me in a video. I watched it. Looks like you have some homework to do. I'm going to trust that since you are a man of science and reason, that you're going to do it. So a little passive aggressive. And then he gives me this link here to a particular thing, and I'll show this to you guys too. So you can see the article, because I like to give full disclosure and context. Okay. Risk of being killed by police, use of force in the United States by age, race, ethnicity, and sex. Now remember, this is from the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences of the United States of America. Now listen, this is a prestigious organization, right? Okay, but it's you got to understand, this is a commentary. It's a research article, all right? And basically what I'm going to show you guys what these things do and say, okay? So you'll see that this shows here that displays estimates of lifetime risk of being killed by police, use of force by race and sex used in the data from 2013 to 2018. Well, guess I already had the data, okay? So I understand this study and what they're doing about it, okay? Now, here's the tricky part. It says, we estimate over the life, of course, the levels of similar risks to those observed between 2013 and 2018, okay? About 52% of every 100,000 men and boys in the United States will be killed by police use of force over the life course, and about 3 of every 100,000 women and girls will be killed by police over the life force. Okay, now here's one of the interesting things about this. Isn't it interesting that men are disproportionately killed by women? Where's the outrage about that? Where are all my, masculine men saying, why pick race? Why not something that's divides us and is different and separates us, like gender? There's only 2, by the way. See how in science we only look at men and women, and we have for decades? That's because there's only 2 genders. The left, that's another dividing point. Oh, it's infinite genders. And that's not true. Okay. So you see how that works? All that same division narrative exists and originates out of only one particular source. Okay. So men and women. So the interesting thing about this is there's a trick with statistics. Okay. And if you look at statistics, you can move the data to present a narrative that matches your agenda just by how you present it, right? But statistics can't give you all the infinite perturbations, okay? Everybody remember back there and taking statistics in college? Woof. Or high school, wherever you think. These different perturbations, there's all kinds of subcontexts of things, okay? And that's why balanced protocol, when it comes to health and wellness, lifestyle, mindset, environment, I talk about context, context, context. Context cubed, as we affectionately call it. There's a lot more context to understand things other than just the raw numbers, okay? But just looking at the numbers by themselves gives the tail of the tape. So in other words, when you start to see some of these things, you will begin to understand that they're manipulating the concepts of the said numbers, okay? So what I'm going to come back to here, okay, is the conversation. Then there was another post, this one here, okay? And this is a paper, so we're going to come back to this one here, and I'm going to show you this paper, called Homicide in Black and White, and this was published in 2010, okay? It's an abstract, okay? And the thing is what this is these are basically papers that people want to be published, okay? And the thing is these are just talking point papers. Now again, same kind of things, all right? there's all kinds of stuff, like magnitude and the difference of murder and victimization rates far exceeds any difference in characteristics opposed to killing people to be killed. And this is what they're saying. The characteristics appear to predispose people. This is really important. Magnitude of the difference in murder and victimization rates far exceeds any difference in characteristics that appear to predispose people to kill and be killed. And what it is, being poor, high school dropout, living in a dense urban environment, and being raised by a single parent household. Now, this is super contextually important because I'm using the very document that I was sent. Okay? This is the one I was sent. I was familiar with the document, not the first time I've seen it. So these are the things that predisposes someone. Ready? Just you see. These are the characteristics that a predisposed person to be killed or to kill. You understand that? Let's get that crystal clear. Let that sink in a minute. And here's what they are. Number one, being poor, being a high school dropout, living in a dense urban environment, or being raised by a single parent. Now, all of that is exactly what liberal progressives construct. They want people on the welfare rolls. They say, listen, we will give you universal health care. We will give you welfare. We will give you food stamps, okay? We will give you tax credits for cranking out more kids, okay? You can't pick your own school to go to. No, see, that's racist, okay? Yes, it is racist to not let a single mom in an urban environment who is poor decide that she can send her kid to a school where it's not in that same environment so they can get an education and not be a high school dropout. Do you see the social construct here, guys? This is what I'm talking about. The left and the Democrats, they vote for things against school choice so they can keep people enslaved in the urban environment with single parents. Who are these single parents? Moms. Fatherless homes. Now, if you want more exhaustive on this, go, because, oh, that's just because you're white. See, anybody who's watching this and you do that and you think I'm saying this because and you're judging me because I'm white, you are a racist. You are a freaking racist for doing that. I'm giving a statement, and I'm giving the evidence, and I'm giving the science, and I'm giving you the context, and I'm encouraging you, don't believe me, go look it up. Find if, did I manipulate the PDF to make a narrative? Okay, maybe. Of course not. Go look at Candace Owens, Charlie Kirk, Thomas Sowell. If you really want one who's a scholar and a gentleman, wow, Thomas Sowell is my hero. I love that guy, okay? If anybody knows him and you can connect me through 1 or 2 degrees of separation, I would love that. Okay, anyways, those are the litmus tests. So what you look at through the statistics, the numbers of poor, high school dropout, urban environment, single parent, more times than not, that means a single mom. How many black men have that story? That's their experience. Lots. I've heard it many times, and it's unfortunate, okay? We can get into all the things that contribute to that stuff, but what I'm talking about is that's where the killing and being killed comes from. Now, so that does make some things disproportional. But the problem with the disproportional is not the color of a person's skin. It's the environment and the lifestyle and the mindset. See, those factors of balance protocol, they come into play. So anyways, that was the study. I'll come back to my personal story so I can tell you this more and we'll move on, okay? So, he continued to say, I'm giving you reasonable doubt because it seems like that you're just not up to speed about the reality of countless humans. Okay, that's code for people that are his color, not my color. Just do your homework if you want to engage in this conversation, and you'll come out and you'll come off extremely disrespectful. This is my city. This is where I come from. And he gives a link to The Guardian, okay, which is this is a story, okay, that we all know. We all followed it. It was the last, thing at Division, okay, the racial bias and stuff like that, coming out of St. Louis. Well, guess what? I lived in St. Louis for a short period of time with my sister. It's the Michael Brown story, okay? Guess what? Michael Brown. Well, he matched all those criteria. Poor, high school dropout, single mom family. You see what I'm saying? So yes. So the problem is the urban environment. Well, guess what? Who manages all these urban environments? Across the board, coast to coast, north to south, it don't matter. Democrat mayors, Democrat congressmen, Democrat senators, Democrat governors. It's all by design. It's a byproduct of that political platform and agenda. There's no getting around that. We can disagree, but isn't it amazing that that just so happens to be? Now, the conversation, those texts were a little on the passive-aggressive side. They assumed that I'm not up to speed, that I haven't done my homework. Well, this is what I do for a living, is I study these sociological issues. Why? Because they affect people's health and their wellness and their mindset, and I help people overcome those things, okay? So here I'm going to share with you my response. And I said, yes, I felt it was important for you to see, referencing those videos that I linked before. And based upon these things that you just shared, it appears that you have homework to do. I am a man of science, and you know the depth I go beyond the norm and beyond the surface as most do not. I am beyond and up to speed. The trouble here is I feel you are mired in the Dunning-Kruger effect. If you guys don't know what the Dunning-Kruger effect is, please look it up. It basically means you think you know what you're talking about, but you don't, because you just got a little bit of information. Okay, as time goes on, you figure out, holy crap, I didn't have all the context and information. I said it's vital that you understand that articles written by content generators for The Guardian and Vox and Snoops and Fox and CNN and all the other rags are not proper citation sources. You must go to proper databases and look at the raw numbers yourself. That PDF you linked is quite silly. It's a paper, which means it's a nicely put together opinion piece only. There's points in it, like I showed you, that I agreed with. But it's silly because, one, it uses data from, here's the thing, guys, Police Public Contact Survey. You need to go and understand what the Police Contact Survey, this was basically, it's a method of asking people what they thought of their contact with the police. But here's the thing, though. There's no international police encounter clearinghouse database. In other words, every encounter that police have, it's not put into a database. If they come up to you on the street, boom, they see you flick a button and say, hey, pick that up or I'm gonna give you a ticket. Okay, you picked it up. Okay, cool, I'm not gonna write you a ticket. In other words, every encounter with law enforcement is not recorded, okay? I feel it should be. It's actually one of the solutions that I actually present. But that survey, and then how did you feel about it, right? It's just like if you went into any restaurant or something like that and they surveyed you on how you felt your experience was there. Anyways, 2, it even says, this is what it said down there. Beyond the lack of data, the analysis of police behavior is fraught with difficulty, including but not limited to the reliability of the data that does exist. So even the thing that he sent me states that it's not everything. You see what I'm saying? I already knew the study. There's an updated one. Matter of fact, here, I'll show you guys that. Let me show you here. So that one was 2010. I just got to go to my little archive here. I got a lot of stuff. Let's see if I can find it. Okay. Boom. Here's the updated version of that. Okay. This is what it looks like. Okay, boom. You guys can go look at this one too, okay? An empirical analysis of racial differences in police use of force, July 2016, okay? Please go look at that one. You can look it up for yourself. All right, so I've had these for a while. This is what I do. Okay, so the upshot here was it was a very difficult story to actually say that's what I thought of it, okay? Now, apparently that's when things went south, and this is what happened to me and broke my heart and brought me to tears. Okay? I had trust in you to be a decent man and do the right thing, but you are the worst kind of racist. The kind that acts like they're your friend but doesn't really give a damn about your experience. When I said something so fundamental to reality that you can't possibly understand my experience unless you walk in my shoes, you said one of the dumbest, maybe the dumbest things I've ever heard a man said. You said, I don't agree. Okay? Okay. So, if somebody tells you, okay, so after I said, all right, that you can't possibly understand my experience unless you walk in my shoes, okay, then it's a non-starter. Then why are we talking? I can't possibly understand it. Whenever you have a conversation with someone, there has to be a hope that they will understand. You got to help them understand. That's what it is. It's an understanding. If everyone is saying that we can't understand them, well, then all hope is lost. Everything is no point. Then it goes to stupid stuff in psychology. Okay? Of course I said I don't agree. Why is that the stupidest thing, dumbest thing that anyone's ever heard? I disagree with a lot of people. You guys disagree with me. I happen to think that I'm right 98% of the time because I am. If I'm proven wrong, I'll admit it. Show me. But you can't tell me that I'm wrong for saying that I disagree. Of course I can. Okay? So that's how that works. So the thing is that then I go on to say, I don't have to give birth to know what it's like. What it's like. That's true. I can study the female reproductive system and I can study the hormones. I stopped you and said, but you do not actually know what it's like to give birth. And you said, yes, I do. And I said, I can put on the electrodes on. I was joking. I should have known at that very moment that you were out of your mind, ignorant, and a poor excuse for a man. See, now it went ad hominem. I'm a poor excuse for a man. To have somebody tell you that? Wow. Okay? And the context is, I gave a tremendous amount of service to this particular individual. Okay? Free, pro bono, with no pay. Help recover his health because no one else could out there in the health and wellness space. That's a fact. Okay? I won't give you the details, but that's a fact. That's why it came to me and I fixed it. Okay? So anyways, that's what I'm specialized in doing. And then he goes on to say, a poor excuse for a man of science, who am I kidding? You twist words and try to make yourself right instead of looking at the data that blatantly goes against what you say. Well, you know what? We're going to take a look at my data in just a moment. I sent you clinical evidence on systematic police brutality against black men from the National Academy of Sciences and a massive meta-analysis from Columbia University on the prejudice and racism myself. Correct. He didn't send me the raw data because I already had these. But instead of you reading them, he didn't know I didn't read them, and admitting your ignorance, you brought up the Guardian article like it was typical of a racist like you. Look at that, a racist like you. So I'm a lousy guy, okay, and I'm a racist. Instead of taking a moment to acknowledge my pain and the people my family has lost to systemic racism, see this narrative? This is taught victimization. You instead told me how you were picked on for being white, not realizing that you were revealing the seeds of your racism. You see that crap? He's guilty of the very thing he was trying to hold me accountable for. He was telling me his experience, I'm telling my experience. Okay, so who gets to out-victimize the other person? You see how awful that is? That's racism. This is all based upon me not being their color. They're judging me based upon the shallowness of that. They're guilty of the very thing that they're calling me. You guys have probably experienced this too. This is why I wanted to share you guys my story. Okay? Your ignorant post about George Floyd not being a race issue. It's not. It's a police issue. And how 3 of the 4 police officers responsible for his deaths were not white. I've got a simple question for you. What color was the man on the ground? See, that's pure logic. If it was about race, why did 3 non-blacks kill, why did 3 people of color participate in the killing of George Floyd, a man of color? Jesus. You understand what I'm saying? The bottom line is that's, if it's racism, then what in the heck is that? Why did the black gentleman help kill a black gentleman? All right? So, and he says, Your racism doesn't even allow you to see what's in front of you. Clearly, you don't have to be white to be racist against black people, but not so clearly to someone who thinks they know what the black experience is. I'm going on the tail. People write stories. I mean, oh my gosh. So then you know what? People don't understand my story. Or as a doctor, as a father, as a brother, as a physician, as a North Carolinian. I mean, what other little things do we want to divide ourselves by to not tell other people that they can't possibly understand what our experience was? Okay, I grew up, in the 80s in the South. Well, then you can't understand my stuff. Well, I grew up in the 60s in the South. You can't understand. Holy crap. It's insane, okay? So anyways, under the guise that you are my friend, I called you multiple times to talk about this and pray that you are not this person that you appeared to be. You weren't even man enough to do that. Apparently he tried calling me and I didn't get the call. So please never speak another word to me, never speak my name. Yeah, good luck with that. You don't want your true prejudice exposed. Oh, I'd love to have my true prejudice exposed, kind of like I'm doing here for you. So I'd encourage you to go through the studies I sent you, the willingness to be wrong, even though you pride yourself on being right, I do, and you've expressed some of the most disgusting behavior I've ever seen. There's still hope for you to wake up. So I said, wow, just wow. No, sir, you are the racist. How dare you go off the rails when we're respectfully engaging in debate? That proves you are mentally and emotionally out of control. You are playing the victim here. You have proceeded to go off top. When I'm typing, my fingers were freaking going crazy and you attack me. I understand where this anger comes from and I understand why you're acting the way you are. So it hurts my soul that you have said such vile things. I am comforted because they come from a self-inflicted hurt play you have within you. I pray for you and pray that your heart will be touched and you will come to know the truth and realize how awful of a thing it was for you to do to me. Okay? So anyways, guys, that was a friend of mine, Sean Stevenson. Okay? And it hurts tremendously. It affected me for the whole day. All right? And I had to get on my knees and ask for strength, and I did. And I got it, and it feels good. And here's what I want to do. I'm not playing the victim, okay? Because here's the thing. Just like if somebody this is an old adage out there. I think, I can't remember what it was. But anyways, there's a story that says that if someone gives you a gift and they don't accept it, so if I give you, if I give you this calculator, I'm giving you that, and they refuse it, who owns it? Well, you do. Okay, so just like anger, if someone tries to give you anger, if they try to give you hate, if they try to give you racism, if they try to give you, hey, I'm a victim, and you don't accept it, they have to keep it and be unhappy with it. You understand what I'm saying? So it works with good gifts. It also works with negative stuff. So that's my recommendation to you, is when someone tries to tell you that you're a racist, okay, give that back to them. You don't have to apologize. You don't. Much less get on your knees and that kind of crap. I only get on knees for the Lord and my family. I would get on my knees for my family. Could go crazy on that one there, because I'm trying to bring some brevity to a heartfelt situation. The bottom line is, you can go from being a person who is, being revered, right? And to be on your show and to talk about things and to say that Dr. Beck has made a habit of looking in the right place for solutions to all manner of health problems. His advanced testament or whatever changed my life. Okay? Well, then all of a sudden I'm a racist. Listen, I won't tolerate it. Not for a minute. Okay? At the end of the day, I know who I am. Okay? And everyone's equal to me. We all fall short of the glory. That's a fact, and I sure as heck do too. So I'm sharing you guys my story because I want you to understand that it hurts when you're called names and you're persecuted for what you say and you stand and believe. We're not out of this yet. The left the Democrats, the socialists, the liberal progressives, all those monikers. I'm not saying the other parties, the libertarians, aren't good or bad, and the Republicans aren't good or bad, or the Constitutional Party. None of that stuff. What I'm saying is I'm saying exactly what I'm saying. Just like not all cops are bad, not all white people are bad, not all black people are bad, and this is where I should go, and the Asians and the Hispanic. And you see, I don't feel like I do all that. My whole thing is this: there's bad in people, and there's a lot of greatness and good in people. I see it all the time, okay? I've struggled. I've come from a rough background, okay? There is no such thing as white privilege, okay? Cops are not racist systemically. There's no evidence to prove that. Show me it. You won't find it. It's conjecture. It's opinion. Okay? It's rules for radicals. That's what it is. Okay? Some of the ones that are great narratives for you guys to go and check out is Are Police Racist? From PragerU. Please go look at that on YouTube. It's real simple and easy to see. Okay? The other one is Social Justice Isn't Justice. Understand about these terms. Okay? I'd show those videos, but it would take too long to get through them. But understand why social justice is an evil construct. There's only justice. Any word in front of justice is evil, period. Those are constructs of the left, okay? Cops are not racist, not at all, okay? Are people who happen to be cops racist? Well, of course, okay? You know what? There are cops that are also rapists. There are people who are cops or have been cops that are child molesters. Same thing for teachers, college professors, firefighters, and your neighbors, and people who own fast food restaurants. There's all kinds of people that do those evil things. Even in the military, you know our heroes? Did you know there's people who have worn the uniform, who have fought for our freedoms and a constitution, that are also have been in the sands of time, put in jail for all kinds of heinous crimes. It's not the job, okay? It's the individual, which is why we always want to measure the person on the content of their character, not some fantasy, imaginary thing. People who look at you of your race and start to do that, these are the true racists, and I've shown you that story today. They're the ones, and I don't believe that they're on purposely doing it, okay? But they are, and they don't know it. So the very thing I'm being accused of by someone who I love and cherish and respected, and I've already forgiven, okay? You can always, heal as far as I'm concerned. I'm not going to hold on to that bitterness. I've let it all go. See, that's the beauty of, having a savior. I don't have to hold on to that stuff. He already paid for it for me. So I can let it go. I can think on purpose, and I'm not going to be beat up by it. I'm still going to tell the story. I'm going to share it, and I'm going to wish him well, and I've prayed, and it's helped. And that's what I encourage you guys to do. When you see this stuff going on TV, when you see people getting knocked out, shot, killed, teeth flying out, okay? Women being pulled down and beaten to death, okay? Parents out there with their kids in strollers and stuff. It's terrifying. It's terrible, okay? But it is a leftist agenda to create all the things that we're seeing, okay? Another great video for you guys I really recommend is to go to this one called Bill Whittle, Ferguson, and the Real Race War, okay? Because, matter of fact, I'm going to show you a little bit about this one because I think this one is really good. I mean, it teases me up to what I'm going to talk about.
What happened before and after. Michael Brown has been repeatedly referred to in the media as a gentle giant. Now,
and if you'll remember in the media with Michael Brown, and I'm using this too because it was, in St. Louis and Ferguson, that kind of stuff, where my former friend was living. You notice this picture they always showed of Michael Brown, like it was this young kid picture. It's the propaganda, right? I noticed those little things as
before the shooting, stealing a handful of cigars and then gently strong-arming the store owner out of his way. So why is it that the Attorney General appointed by the President of the United States of America put intense political pressure on the Ferguson Police Department to...
Okay, so here's a couple of things on that. Just like we're finding out with George Floyd, okay? Did you hear about his criminal record and putting a gun up to a pregnant woman's belly? Okay, it's all on the record. Candace Owens broke it all out and told everybody about it. Okay, she racist, she's black too. There are bad people. Now, did he deserve to be killed by the knee to his neck? Absolutely not. I still stand by that, okay? And those guys, those bad cops, they need to go to trial, and justice needs to be served. They need due process, okay? I don't care about his past history. Doesn't mean in all the future histories you're qualified to be killed on the spot. It doesn't work like that. That is not how it works, okay? But if there's systemic racism, then why didn't just 3-4 years ago, why was it that a black president with a black attorney general and a black governor and a black mayor and attorney general, how come they didn't take care of the systemic racism? Where were they? That's the whole thing. In other words, I mean, you had 8 years to stamp out systemic racism. Where? It's crazy, because there's none.
Press the standard ordinary surveillance video, a video which, by the way, caused the destruction of this man's store and left him fearing for his life. Well, we'll get to that in a moment. Defenders of Michael Brown say that this is an attempt to criminalize him and therefore deflect attention from the police shooting. Really? That kind of casual violence, that sense of entitlement, that utter disrespect for the law or another human being, don't take my word for it, the evidence is right there in front of your eyes. That attitude has nothing to do with the police claim that he was charging the officer when he was shot?
Now, see, right about now, some people are saying, oh, you're just trying to show black men. What about all the white guys that do it? Yeah, what about them all? There's a lot. There's a ton of them. And they're just as dirtbaggy as this. I'm using the examples that are being given to us presently as excuses, okay? So if we want to go on precedent, we want to do that, okay? If you're noticing the person's race in there, then you're a racist. Or are you just being aware, right? So in other words, here's the thing. What we need to do is we need to get to the statistics, the data, okay? This is where we're going to get to.
Why do the few cases that don't have extenuating circumstances end up with the offending officers in jail? If this is an epidemic, where's the epidemic? 30,000 commercial flights land safely each day in America, and they don't make the news either. So, is there an epidemic of racial violence loose in America today? There is. According to the National Crime Victimization Survey, in 2010, 62,593 blacks were the victims of white violence. During that same year, 320,082 whites were the victims of black violence. That's 5 times as many violent attacks, but that number is misleading, since the black and white populations are not the same size. When 38 million black Americans commit 5 times as many violent crimes on 197 million whites as they receive, what you discover is that black perpetrators violently assault white victims 25 times more frequently. And when it comes to a specific kind of violent crime, aggravated assault, the number of black on white crimes is 200 times higher than white on black crimes.
Okay, so the reason why this is a really good example is because you see what the data can paint a picture of. The point is that that's what's happening with cops and blacks, okay, in this narrative now, because that's the whole narrative, right? It is police brutality and cops on blacks, not on whites. Do you understand? This whole Black Lives Matter is not all lives matter. It's certainly not white lives matter. It's not, blue lives matter. It's only one particular race because of the agenda, okay? So what we have to understand is there's different ways to look at the data, the raw totals, and then that per the population, okay?
Oh, there's an epidemic of racial violence in America, all right. Reporter and author Colin Flaherty has taken a cold, clear-eyed view of the statistics that don't make the news because they're suppressed by the news. He reports, for example, again in 2010, the National Crime Victimization Survey reported approximately 13,000 black on white rapes and 39,000 black on white robberies, both violent crimes. The statistics show that the number of white on black rapes and violent robberies were so small that they had to be rounded to the nearest whole number, and that whole number was 0. Now, of course, critics will say,
so you see there, they don't want to talk about those statistics. Here's the thing, and we're talking about these crimes, and these crimes warrant and bring in what? Police. So of course, when that much volume of crime is going on, regardless who's doing it, cops are going to have to now come in contact with violent criminals. Simple.
to justify the murder of Michael Brown, but I said at the beginning, If Michael Brown were shot in cold blood, then the police officer needs to pay the price for that murder. This has nothing to do with Michael Brown. This has everything to do with the narrative that the president, the attorney general, and all of these race hustlers are trying to create using Michael Brown.
And looky here. Just like then, Al Sharpton is back at the funeral of poor George Floyd, dishing out this same racist crap. What did he do since Michael Brown's killing from a police versus George Floyd's killing from multiple police? What have you done, Al? Nothing. You haven't taken any of your money because, you know, you're behind on your taxes, as I understand the reporting. That's a cheap shot. What I'm saying is you haven't given it. What are you doing? Why aren't you marching when there's not people dying? How about that? Why aren't you policing the police? How about that? How come you aren't submitting legislation like it's being clamored for now? Why did it take more people to die? Al? Because you're a race baiter. Golly, these guys are just disgusting.
Because there is, in fact, a racial war of violence and hatred in America. Open racism is simply not tolerated in white America today, but black racism is the toxic glue that holds the progressive coalition together.
Sure
Tolerance of, in fact, as we see from the events in Ferguson, open encouragement of black rage at an era.
See, back then, you guys remember that? See, history, data, and precedent. What was history and precedent? Okay? Black guy gets killed by cops, ignoring all the other ones. Wait till I show you the data. Riot, burn down your own neighborhood, your own poor urban neighborhood, which things like that, okay? Fatherless homes. And we see the same thing happen here again, all over again, because they're not doing anything each time this happens. They don't want to do anything.
That not only does not exist, but reverses the daily outrages that do exist, is what defines modern progressivism. It's the politics of envy, anger, entitlement, lawlessness, violence, and bald-faced lies. And of all of the promises broken by this man, surely none is more heartbreaking than the one promise that got him elected in the first place, the promise of a post-racial future. He and his progressive cohorts can never surrender the weapon that's gotten them everything, not the least of which is personal political power and trillions of dollars of redistributed wealth.
So that's it. They're not going to give up that trick pony. Are you kidding me? They're going to keep wielding it, okay? So as promised, let's look at the data. I'm going to share it with you guys. Here it is, plain and doggone simple, okay? This right here, before your very eyes, okay, is the listing of every police killing person, there's a few missing, between 2013 and 2019. You see this? Let me just scroll for you. Still scrolling, still scrolling, still scrolling, scrolling some more, then I'm still scrolling, and then I'll continue to scroll. You're like, holy crap, yep, see, police be killing some people. Look at all that, okay, right? And a lot of these, there's even the picture, okay? I can even take it. Oh, look at there was a white guy who was killed by the cops. Oh, we don't want to talk about that. No, let's not do that, okay? So the victim's age, their name, their gender, their race, the date of the incident, the street address where it happened, the zip code, the county, the agency who was responsible for it, okay? News articles that covered it, every one of these. Were they armed or unarmed? What was the weapon? Okay, what was the alleged threat? Were they fleeing or not? Did the cops have on a body cam or not? Okay, what was the geography? Urban, suburban, rural? Here they all are. Don't tell me I don't know the damn numbers. Don't freaking try to come at me, bro, and say that stuff. Not at all. I know. I've got the raw data here. It's the same thing I did with climate change. I looked at the raw data. You guys don't have the time to put it into it. I do. Okay? So then what we do is then we can take those same killings, okay, all of them, and then we can break them out based upon cities. Well, look at there, okay? And you know what, guys? I'm gonna give you guys a link to this. You guys can all have it and share it with everybody and let them see the edits and everything that are in here, okay? So these are all the cities, okay? Isn't that crazy? Break it down by black people killed by police, Hispanic, Native American, Asian, Pacific Islanders, white, and look at here, unknown race. Why would there be so much unknown race? Wait till I show you that number in a minute, Okay? So here's all the data for you, and I dare you to go and find that what I'm saying isn't true. Here it is by state. I went ahead and highlighted Florida for all you guys to watch because that's where I live. So here in Florida, we have 21 million people. 11.4 million whites, accounting for 53% of the population. 3.6 million blacks, accounting for 16.9. Okay? Let's look at the numbers. Look at there. From 2013 to 2019, in Florida alone, 242 whites killed by police. But remember, blacks are disproportionately killed by cops, right? Because they're racist, going around killing all the blacks. Oh, look at there, 169. You know what this is? It's the same thing for every doggone state. Look at that. Then you got unknown race, 47. It's crazy. So if you take the unknown race, Asian and Hispanic, you got more of that than blacks. Disproportionate my ass. Here's the total numbers. I went ahead and did them all up for you, okay? And here's where statistics will lie. Here's what I did, okay? What you do is you take this column E and you look at all the states and then the black population in there, okay? Add them all up and divide by that, and it averages out to 779,000 black alone per state, which skews the number because here's Vermont with only 6,200. Come on, Bernie Sanders, why are you living in such an undiversified state? What are you doing? Wyoming, things like that. You see what I mean? So this is the problem with statistics. So here's what they do. That's this disparity column. This is the lie, you guys. This is where they do it. Okay? So if you take a look at this code, basically what they do is they divide the percentage of blacks, okay? They take the percentage of blacks minus the population percentage of blacks and gives you this disparity, this racial disparity. That's messing with the statistics, okay? That is skewing the results by doing that. That's the lie. When you say racial disparity, it's because of this. Okay, what's the percentage of overall that are killed that are black versus the percentage of the black population, okay? That is straight up masterful deception, okay? Because what is happening is remember, you guys have all been told that blacks are killed more than anybody else by police. That's the narrative, right? Okay, well, let's go. Let's challenge that hypothesis. Okay? Well, look here. Total amount of blacks killed in that time frame is 1,944. Okay? Let me zoom out here so you can see that number. Okay? 1,944 killed in a 6-year period of time. Okay, look at that number. Oh, what's 1,335? Hispanic. But see, then what they'll do is they'll go, okay, well, blacks and Hispanics, people of color, right? So they're killed more. Okay, so if you take 1944 and then you add 1,335, okay, that's 3,279. Okay, well, guess what? Look at this number. 3,378 whites have been killed in the same period of time. 734 race not identified. Okay, so I would suspect that if you can't identify by race, then you can pretty much, add that, even if you divided this out evenly, percentage of the total number. Okay, so last time I checked, 3,378 is not lower than 1,944. It's a lie, folks. It's a damn lie. Why are they lying to you? That's the question. Who is lying to you? That's the question. You know who it is. The question is, why would they lie? You're going to have to critically think to make that determination. Who gains from a lie that blacks are killed disproportionately more than whites? Well, you have to go and consider various other understandings. Okay, it's called context, context, context. What are the circumstances of the killing? What was the location of the killing? Okay, You got to understand, we need to compare the percentage of those killed by the police to the percent of the interactions of the police. They're not doing that. That's another part of the perturbations that is not included. Why? Because they're not keeping that number. So it is an outright, bald-faced lie that's being perpetuated on this country. And you know why? I'm going to tell you why. You can see by what they're calling for now, defunding police departments. I told you guys from day one of this nonsense, it's a police problem. Police need better training. They need to be held accountable. We have to get rid of qualified immunity. Okay? That's the way it works. So at the end of the day, if you have less police, you're going to have more crime. It doesn't take anybody with even a high school diploma to know that. They want that. The left wants it. Just like they wanted the riots in the streets. They wanted cities to burn. They wanted people to be assaulted. They wanted the optics on media to divide us so they can conquer us. So you can say, hey, listen, you guys can't take care of yourselves. You got to let the government do it. And obviously in the United States, that ain't enough. We got to get France doing it, got to get England doing it, so we can have this new world order come in and have some type of like European Union, powerful white, multi-trillionaire, billionaire white guys do it. Isn't that the irony of this? No, we're not going to have it, okay? So when the arguments are, you don't understand the experience, that's not true. That's racist, okay? I don't need to know every experience per that person's thing to be able to qualify to talk about it, compare it, and dialogue and have debates. When you shut people down based upon the race, you are the racist, period. The numbers, the data, the science, history, and precedent proves that it's a lie. And look, and here's the other litmus test I've always told you guys. Look at if they're encouraging you to go and educate yourself or not, or do you take the narrative of the individual? Okay? So you have to understand, like I put this down here about Florida, our crime rate is 384.9 per 100,000 people. In 2018, third highest murder rate. In prison rate is 582 per 100,000, 14th highest. Poverty rate, 17th highest. Okay? So I've taken a deep look at my own state. I'm aware of the data. Now we can talk about what it means and what it equals and means to go forward, but until people are honest with you and they tell you, hey, listen, that's correct. More whites are killed by cops, irrespective of the situation, the context, or did they have a gun or not? Were they assaulting? What were they doing or not? Okay. Whites were killed far more in a period of years. Oh, every single year. There's no year where it was more. But then collectively, of course, 3-1 basically. So stop with these lies, you guys. Don't believe them. Do your own research. Don't believe me. Do your research. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make this spreadsheet available to Balanced Nation. You guys can all have it. You can dissect the numbers. You can give it to your statistician friends and people and whatever, and manipulate all the lying stuff that you want to come up with it. Okay? But at least for the lay people, you guys can see the raw numbers. Some of these numbers may be off by a little bit and whatever. Okay? But listen, it's a lie. We're being told this so they can take over the moral standard of this country. They want to divide people. That's what this is all about. This is another attempt at a coup. It is. It's plain and simple. It can be scary. We're not done yet. Remember Rules for Radicals? Go and study those. Realize that they're going to keep the pressure on. Okay, we're not through this until November. And then when Trump gets reelected, we're going to have another one. I'm going to put it on record right now. They're already saying it. Project Veritas video came out today and from Antifa being infiltrated, and they're saying, oh, if Trump gets reelected, it's going to burn. It's coming. They're setting people up to get the new norm. It's all by design. The question is, what are you going to do? Well, I can tell you this. I'm about solutions. Here's some solutions. Number one, you have to speak up and don't apologize. Don't be getting on your knees. Don't be being fake and phony and all that, buying in all that stuff. Do your own research, okay? You have to put in the time or you will become the victim. The third thing is you have to get involved in the election process. Don't be just a one-issue voter. But if you are, you better pick the one that allows you to have more freedoms, because the Democrats also, excuse me guys, air because I'm breathing and taking it in. They also want to disarm people. They want guns to be gone too. Can you look at what the Democrats are saying, guys? Only Black Lives Matter. You're racist if you say all lives matter. Defund and get rid of the police. Take away all the guns from the citizenry. Okay? Let a bunch of illegals vote. This is an attack on our constitutional republic. That's what this is. And we're going to have to fight. We'll fight legally and with our voices and our bodies first, showing up and letting people see. Peacefully protesting, not rioting. Okay? That's how we do it. Come out of the shadows, you guys. You have to do it. And I know Balanced Nation is more than just politics, but this is affecting all of our health, our mental health, our physical health, all this stress, messes up your immune system and predisposes you to COVID-19. Okay? The next thing is this. It's a cop problem. Okay? The problem is that cops are largely ran by unions, which are arms of socialism and Democrat agendas. Okay? That's what they are. They're groupthink and control. Those need to go. People need to be held accountable. Get rid of qualified immunity. Okay? If you wear the badge, if you wear the uniform, you don't get special rights. Okay? That's rightsism. Okay? You don't get special rights than anybody else just because you're doing that. Okay? The other thing is we need to have body cams on every single law enforcement. Always. They always have to have a body cam. When I'm out and about these days, I told you guys, I always have a body cam on. And today when I went in Walmart, I turned it on. Not expecting bad things to happen, but you never know. Okay? So, tell the black community, if you're scared about cops, then tell you what, George Soros or anybody else, how about you buy a bunch of body cams, and give those out to everybody. Let everybody record everybody. If they don't have it, then you have it. Okay? There's all kinds of things that you could do. Be like, really, Mac, that's what you came up with, is body cams? Yes, video evidence. Could you imagine if we had more evidence of the George Floyd thing, if everybody had on body cams? I can't wait to see the body cams of those 4 officers if we're ever going to see it. Okay? Because, yeah, it could have been a completely faked and staged event. Oh, that's blasphemy. Whatever, guys. The point is this. Get rid of those things. The other thing is the people within your own community, stop burning it down. Clean it up. Okay? Remember the guardian angels in New York? Remember they wore the red things and the red berets and stuff, and what that does for things? Get involved. Encourage people to go and stay in school and correct those things. Pick their own schools. If the school's failing, get out of there. Okay? There's so many other things. But when it comes to the police, you have to do legislation where they can't have these tactics that they use. And if they do, they need to be held accountable. People need to lose their jobs. That's how you do it. You need to incentivize good standing and involvement in the community and take away any incentives for police departments to make money off of these things. You know, they can seize property and stuff. They'll pull you over. Heck, you go out Midwest, that's what I'm afraid of. Okay, driving out there, they'll pull you over and they'll just, detain you and be suspected of committing a crime. And if they find you having something of value, they'll take it and they'll seize it. You ain't never getting it back. Okay? I've had great experiences with cops. One of the last ones I had was I was driving, my license plate expired, so of course they're going to pull me over. Okay? Pulled over, non-white police officer. And he asked me for my registration, proof of insurance, and driver's license. And I gave him that. And I realized, I didn't put my insurance card with that. And I usually keep it all together, so I'm not fumbling through stuff. But this one dang time, just go figure. And I had my firearm in where that's at. And I let him know. And my hands on the wheel. So you should have, people also say, well, you don't have to have the conversation with your kids about the police because you're not black. A black parent has to do that. Oh, yes, I do, and I practice it, okay? The bottom line is yes, sir, no, sir. I don't answer any questions. I don't want to talk about my day. Here's my stuff. Why am I pulled over? All that information is out there. How you interact with police, you need to learn how to do it. And I'm like, listen, I have my firearm. I have my concealed carry permit, but I also have my firearm in my middle thing, okay? How would you like me to proceed? He says, well, if you'll kindly step out of the car and move to the back of the vehicle. And I said, no problem. Blam, got out of the vehicle. He went in there. I gave him permission to get, because I had to tell him this. Every situation is different. He grabbed my firearm. He put it in his belt. He says, okay, and he held it with him. He said, have a seat back in the car. I got back in the car. We finished the encounter. He wrote me a ticket. Okay, and he says, I'm going to put your firearm in the trunk if you'll kindly pop that for me. He popped that, he set it in there, and he closed it, and I was free to go. Okay, $185 later or whatever it was, went back home because it was my mistake. Boom, got my firearm, we moved on. So it happens to me too. Okay, so the upshot is this: I have my experience. You need to have your experience, and other persons don't have to understand it to understand that people that aren't either one of us's experience, the cops, they need training, not less, not defunding, okay? They need to be held accountable. That comes through legal, that comes from people's involvement and standing up for what's right. All right. So you guys, that's all I got. I'm going to go ahead and let you go. The bottom line here is this. We are being lied to and we're getting duped. Look at where it's coming from. The people who are spray painting on monuments and businesses and things like that are expecting us to believe them. It doesn't work like that, okay? That's like a pimp slapping a hoe and saying, I beat you because I love you. I literally saw that. There's a video of this white guy who got knocked out, fell, broke his thing, and some other white 14-year-old kid comes over and kicks his head while he's down, knocks his tooth out of his mouth, and then he gets picked. In the background, you can hear people saying they call him by his race and a sexual thing, okay? So, unbelievable. And then they're like saying, that's what you get for protest. Don't ever protest against us blacks or our movement, because this is what you get. That's what they said. This guy's bloody as hell. It's unbelievable. So my point is this: those are the people who are telling us, the United States and the world, that defund the police, okay, reparations, let illegals vote, encouraging people to riot, paying for bricks to be delivered to incite these things. It's out of control. Law and order must happen, but my realm in this is to give you guys history, data, and precedent, share with you guys candidly and humbly as I can my stories and what affects me, so that way you can apply it in your lives, and hopefully it's helpful. I'm glad to do it. It's tough. I'm going to catch flack for this, for all kinds of misunderstandings and whatever. That's fine. Come at me, bro. You ain't going to get me, okay? You might hurt my feelings, and I'll take a half a day to do it, and I'll cry, and I'll pray about it, and I'll be over it, okay? Because, I'm a real man, and I ain't no damn racist, and you guys can just stuff it, okay? It's the stupidest thing ever. Those are the tricks and the tactics of weak-minded individuals. All right, you guys, I love you a bunch. It's a long one. And if you guys want to be able to share this with people, remember it's over on youtube.com/Balance Protocol. If you're seeing this on YouTube and you want to come over here to Balance Nation on Facebook, on this platform that we're using currently, it's facebook.com/groups/Balance Nation. So anyways, guys, I will enjoy my weekend, so I won't be available, and hopefully I won't be tempted to get on here and do another video till maybe Monday. So I'll see you guys soon.